Hello everyone, welcome to Contentment Guide Astrology. I am Michelle. Today's video is about the Venus retrograde that is starting, depending on where you are, on the 1st of March. Where I am in South Africa, it starts on the 2nd of March, early in the morning. And we have just come out of the station and the turning direct of Mars on the 24th of Feb. So we are still in those Martian energies and working with the changes that happened inside us during the Mars retrograde and finding new ways to move forward and integrating those Mars retrograde energies. And this year is very dynamic because we just finished Mars retrograde and we are then stepping into Venus retrograde in March and April. And at the same time, we are also going to have a Mercury retrograde. And Venus and Mercury retrogrades are both working with the Aries and the Pisces parts of our charts. I will make another video where I talk more about where this falls for each sign, so look out for that next week. But I just wanted to bring our awareness to the Venus retrograde at this point in time. So Venus is known as the goddess of love. She is about love, she is about creativity, beauty. She's also about money and skills and resources and our values. So when a retrograde happens, all of these things can be evaluated and we gain new perspectives in these areas of our lives, in the houses of Aries and Pisces, and also the houses in your chart that might be ruled by Venus, and general things that are ruled by Venus, like I mentioned before, different kinds of relationship, romantic, platonic, money issues, creativity issues, and our values in general. So all of these things can undergo a change of perspective while this retrograde is happening. So Venus already entered 24 degrees of Pisces on the 28th of January. So that was the start of the shadow period of the Venus retrograde. So from the end of January, we could have been dealing with certain things that wanted a change of perspective, and we are now going to go over those degrees again with the perception of Venus moving backwards from the perspective of Earth in the sky. So from 28 January, we've been in that period where Mars will travel back to again. Then, like I said, on 1st or 2nd of March, Venus is now going to start its retrograde, and this is happening at 10 degrees 49 minutes of Aries. So if you have planets or points around about the 9, 10, 11, 12 degrees of Aries, or sextiles, squares or trines to this point, you will obviously feel this more. When a planet is slowing down and stopping before it turns retrograde, the energy is very, very strong. So for this last few days before the 2nd of March, we would have felt a very strong Venus energy already. And as it stations or stops for about a day before it starts moving backwards on the 1st and the 2nd of March, the Venus energy is very strong. So you may already feel certain storylines and topics and experiences that have come up for you during the few days leading up to the 2nd of March or on the 1st or 2nd of March. And this can be an indicator for you if you are paying attention to where these Venus retrograde energies will play out for you in your life. So then the Venus retrograde is going to start on the 2nd of March. Venus is going to start moving backwards in the sky as we perceive it from Earth. And then a very important point in any Venus retrograde is when Venus meets up with the Sun during her retrograde. And this is happening on the 23rd of March at 3 o'clock and 8 minutes in the early morning in South Africa. Other parts of the world on the 22nd of March. So 22nd, 23 March is when Venus meets up with the Sun. And this is also called a gazimi. It means at the heart of the Sun. And what this means is that meeting up with Venus is the new point of where a seed is planted. Venus is now coming out. She is turned into a new Venus with new energy illuminated by the Sun. So often in the Venus retrograde, a period which lasts around about 40 days, like I said, that part at the beginning, on the 1st, 2nd of March, you feel these energies very, very strongly because that is a change of direction. So in the first week or so after the 2nd of March, you might have reversals, changes of perspective, seeing things in a new light, new people arriving in your life, new things arriving in your life, or some things that you had in your life leaving your life, or relationships leaving. So the first few days after the station and Venus moving backwards felt very, very strongly. And yes, indications of things that is going to happen for you during this Venus retrograde. Then when she meets up with the Sun on 22, 23 March, she is born anew in that fire of the Sun energy. And she comes out the other side fresh. And it takes about 15 degrees for her to really bring all of those things that she now planted a new seed for in the heart of the Sun fully into the light. So then by the 13th of April, Venus is now moved back to 24 degrees 36 minutes of Pisces. And this is where she's going to turn direct. So between the 2nd of March and the 13th of April, we are experiencing all of these changes of perspective. So pay attention to those first few days after the 2nd of March. Also what comes to light for you on the 22nd, 23rd of March, when Venus meets up with the Sun. And then eventually when Venus turns direct again after the 13th of April, you might again feel a change of perspective. You've now worked through certain Venus related themes, and now you're going to move forward again, maybe with a new perspective, maybe with something in your routines, in your relationships, in your views on money and beauty and values that have been updated. But as Venus then moves forward, we are still integrating these things that we experienced during the retrograde. So the shadow of the Venus retrograde or Venus reaching the 10 degrees of Aries only happens on the 16th of May. So all the while between 13th of April, where she turns direct again, and 16th of May, we are still integrating these retrograde energies. So it is quite a long period of time, and patience is required. I think it can be challenging for us to deal with Venus related themes. And finding new ways of dealing with our values and our relationships can be challenging, and I think it requires a very much a step-by-step process, as we will see in what I received in my Ching reading for the Venus retrograde. So I wanted to call this Venus retrograde a dance between our dreams, our ideals, and the reality of what we can achieve. And the reason I'm saying this is between Aries and Pisces, Venus is traversing and crossing paths, yes, with the Sun, but also with Neptune and with Saturn a couple of times during this retrograde. And Neptune is that archetype that deals with our dreams, that our big visions, our cosmic love, and those things that we see as absolutely ideal and beautiful. And then Saturn deals with reality, what is concrete, what we can actually concretely bring into our lives, and where those boundaries lie between what is ideal and what can actually be achieved. So this Venus retrograde really is a dance with those energies, and finding that sweet spot between what our ideal relationship might be like and what we can achieve in reality, what our ideal beauty regimen might be and what we can achieve in reality, what our ideal income might be in terms of money and what we can achieve in reality. So all of these things we're going to find a new balance point with during this Venus retrograde. So I feel this is a very special time, because we've just come out of the Mars retrograde, where we worked with our actions and our desires and how we deal with conflict and all of these things. And now we are going straight into the Venus and the Mercury retrograde, where with Venus we are dealing with things with the heart and our values, our heartfelt values. And with Mercury we are dealing with new ways of communication and working with the mind and our thought patterns. So between December and April, with Mars, Venus and Mercury retrogrades, we are all undergoing such an evolutionary upgrade and really receiving new perspectives in moving forward for the rest of the year. So I think this can be a challenging time. Finding new perspectives and ways forward is not always easy, but this is definitely very divinely timed, and we are all here for this ride. Yes, be gentle, be kind. We are all going through a lot, and support yourself through this journey first, and then support others around you that may need it. So I did a Ching reading for this retrograde, and I received 2 hexagrams. One is 25, which is called innocence, and the other one is called conduct. And innocence in this regard is very much about having a proper relationship to the divine. So I think with Venus being about relationships, we can even find a new relationship to how we relate to the divine, God, the universe, whatever you relate to in terms of higher energies in your life. So it says, act spontaneously and confidently. Innocence shows a proper relationship to the divine without attachments to shadows. Act step by step and day by day. Do not try to see the long view at this time. Connect to life unfolding in each moment. And this is always valuable, but I think when it comes to things related to Venus, we often want to know such definite outcomes. And it's sometimes challenging not to be attached. But this guidance is very powerful to take it step by step. And then even hexagram 10 says one step at a time and trust in the outcome. Clarify your purpose in a new way. Continue and all will be revealed in time. So I think the guidance here is step by step, one day at a time. Life will unfold as it needs to. And that might seem like very simple guidance, but it is so profound because we can be so attached to what outcomes we want, and moving step by step in such a big time of change, I think, can be such a valuable thing. So I also pulled some cards. I decided to pull 3 tarot cards for this Venus retrograde reading. One for when Venus is stationing to turn retrograde, one for when Venus enters the Cazimi and meets up with the Sun, and one for when Venus starts moving forward again. So for the stationing and the retrograde, I received the Knight of Wands. And the Knight of Wands is a fast mover. He can be very determined, and I think this might be where we are with Venus at the time. We might think that we know our direction, we want to move forward, we know exactly where we're going. The landscape in the background is dry and hot. This is related to the fire sign of Aries, where the Venus retrograde starts. And I think this card really relates to the fact that, yes, we think we have this capacity to rush forward, and like the wand in his hand, there might be certain things sprouting, but we are actually being called to slow down and gain new perspectives at this time. So then by the time Venus meets up with the Sun on the 22nd or 23rd of March, I received the Empress for that. And I can't think of a better card for Venus being born anew, a new seed moment at the heart of the Sun. You even see the symbol of Venus on this card. She is sitting in nature. She is connected to that divine flow. And she has the crown of the 12 stars on her head that relates to the flow of time and trusting in that flow of time. This is a very feminine card. It's very fertile. It's very connected to nature and harvesting. So at this time, on the 22nd and 23rd of March, we're going to find a new balance point with the feminine being born anew at this time. And then for when Venus moves forward again, by the 13th of April, I received the Two of Wands. And twos are often about choices. So this might be a time where we are making new choices in our lives because we now have new perspectives. And so from the 13th of April, we can see that he's looking over the expanse. He has the world in his hands, so he has choices. He has an outlook. He's looking forward, but he's not quite moving yet. You can see the one wand is even attached to the castle or the building where he's standing. So even though Venus is moving forward at this time, he is now still contemplating his new perspective before he gets ready to move. And so I think only really by the 16th of May, when Venus has reached that end of the shadow period at 10 degrees 49 of Aries, then we are going to find our new ways of moving forward. Depending on where these houses are for you or where your personal planets are, of course, you're going to have your own light bulb moments and ahas at different times during the Venus retrograde. This is just an overview for everyone and just some inspiration to help you to take this Venus retrograde step by step, and then wait for the beautiful fruits that will arrive at the end of it. Thank you so much for being here, and reach out if you would like a personal reading. My website details will be below. I love doing readings. I love giving people new perspectives on their lives and what is happening currently in their life story, and a fresh perspective to start anew with some astrological insight. And please also share your comments, your likes, and please share and follow. It helps my channel to grow, and I appreciate all the interaction. I will see you again next time.